ahead and take seats. There are two tables here if any of you would like to get a little closer. Thank you very much for being here, the second in a series of conversations with Tennessee leaders. We're very fortunate tonight to have sort of the other side from our first program, which was with Governor Bill Haslam a couple of weeks ago. And it was a lot of fun, and I hope tonight will be too. At some point I may come to the audience with questions, and so be ready if you have any. Our guest tonight was born in Houston, Texas, moved with her family to Memphis when she was 8 years old, attended St. Mary's Episcopal School in Memphis, and continued on to Emory University, where she served as vice president of the Business School Council. She graduated from Emory in '80 with a double major in finance and marketing in the College of Business. Married our governor, Bill Haslam, and moved to Knoxville in 1981. While working as the assistant director of admissions for UT Knoxville, she received a Master of Science degree in education in the program of college student personnel. In Knoxville, she was very active in numerous civic and community organizations. She currently, among many other duties, serves as the chair of the Tennessee Executive Residence Foundation and Commission. She and Governor Haslam have 3 grown children, and we'll talk to her tonight about her initiatives as First Lady, but more importantly about who she is and from where she comes and where she sees herself going. So it's my pleasure to welcome the First Lady of Tennessee, Crissy Haslam. Thank you. And Crissy said she's a little nervous. She doesn't know how nervous I am doing this, but well, no, welcome and thank you very much. You're actually, we experimented with Bill a couple of weeks ago. You're actually here by popular demand. At one point during the interview, your name had come up so often that I actually asked the audience how many of you would come back to hear a conversation with Crissy.
I heard that. I listened to it. I'm not sure my name came up that often.
It came up several times, and so we're particularly glad to have you with us tonight.
Me. Thank you very much.
You did watch the interview with Bill?
I did.
Any surprises? Anything you disagree with?
Not that I can remember.
Okay.
I think I've heard every story. I don't think it.
Did he get them right?
He got them right.
Okay. No corrections?
No.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, tell us, I read the bio, born in Texas, grew up in Memphis, went to Emory, but tell us a little about growing up and your family and what we may not know about you.
Well, I moved to Memphis right at the beginning of 4th grade, and I remember thinking that was a horrible thing to do, to have to move, and I wouldn't have any friends to invite to my birthday party. But that was the thing I was most concerned about, but as it turned out, I had plenty to invite, and I really remember mostly growing up in Memphis. I guess a lot of formative years were Houston, but I made my longest lasting friends in Memphis. And went to St. Mary's. I think my family very much valued education, and they looked for, I think, the toughest schools for all of us. And at that time, St. Mary's, and probably still is, the toughest school in Memphis, very academic, and so they put the girls there and the boys at another boys' school. And I loved going to St. Mary's. I learned a lot there, being at an all-girls school. It was a great education, a great experience, and still have a lot of good friends there from there.
I remember during the campaign going to Memphis numerous times, but particularly when we went over a couple of times to shoot commercials. And your friends would turn out in droves and were always ready to say great things about you and get to know Bill. And Bill used to say you were his greatest asset in West Tennessee. How do you, living in another part of the state as long as you did, how did you maintain those relations and those strong friendships in a distant other part of the state?
Well, my graduating class just had 42 girls, so we were all pretty close. I mean, that's a small class. But there were, another handful of us that were very close. And going home, I mean, Bill, I would drag the kids and Bill home for holidays and summer visits, and So we kept in pretty good touch, and it's not that hard anymore.
Did you like going to an all-girls school?
I did. You had the opportunity to do everything. You weren't competing with the guys for any offices or for anything. So, and you could just you didn't have that distraction, I guess I'll say.
What offices did you hold at St. Mary's?
Well, let's see. I was involved in student council, and I was student council president. And I was, other things along the way through class officers and things like that.
And your dad was a renowned physician in Memphis?
He was, yeah, he was.
What took him from Houston to Memphis?
So he was in Houston working with Dr. DeBakey and learning in the pioneer stages of heart surgery. And he actually got hepatitis from a patient. And so he had to stay home for a long time, and he decided he wanted to remove himself from that environment and share a practice. And so he looked around the country. We almost moved to California. And I was, looking back, glad we moved to Memphis. And he shared a practice there with a group of doctors, and we got to see him a little bit more. So that was great.
And the family was your father, your mother, what siblings?
I had a sister and 2 brothers. Okay. So 2 boys and 2 girls.
Good. And you lived in Memphis. You've lived in Knoxville for many years. Now you live in Nashville.
I've covered the state.
You've covered the state. Give us your perspective on the 3 big cities in this long state that we know is Tennessee.
Well, we still, even though we've taken it off the signs, I think we still talk about the 3 grand divisions. And there are some differences. I think every city in Tennessee has its own unique flavor and its own contributions to the state. So, I mean, I would say Chattanooga has a little bit of different feel. Clarksville has a different feel. Jackson has a different feel. Of course, they're all a little bit different. Memphis still feels like home because it's where I grew up. Knoxville feels like home because it's where I raised my children. And I'm trying to make Nashville kind of start to feel like home because I'm living here.
Well, how's that coming?
It's good, yeah. I've enjoyed Nashville.
Is it harder to make Nashville home given your role now?
Yes, I think
versus the role you played in Knoxville?
I think so because, well, I'm working so much more. I'm traveling more. Sometimes I feel like I work here instead of live here. But.
Give us a word to describe each of the state's big cities.
Oh, gosh.
Having your experience in each of them.
Oh, these are the questions I don't like. Oh.
These aren't beauty pageant questions, Crissy.
I know.
Well, Crissy's staff warned me not to ask any beauty pageant questions, whatever those are.
What's the answer to how to solve world peace?
I don't know.
Nashville is thriving, I guess, I would say. Memphis, cultural. Knoxville is I mean, it has one word. To me, has a lot more of a mountain Appalachian feel to it, and a little bit. And the people that live in each place, I think, have a different kind of personality and background. So.
There's been argument over the years about whether we should brag about the 3 states of Tennessee or whether we should kind of bury that and think of ourselves as unified. Which position do you take?
Well, I kind of liked it when they took down the signs that said "Welcome to the 3 great states of Tennessee," because I think we are all one. And plenty of other states have different, I'm sure, attributes about the different parts. So I'd say we should be one. But I think it's great to talk about the richness that this one state has.
Okay, good. You've got a finance and marketing degree at Emory. What did you expect to be doing at this time in your life?
Oh gosh. Well, I had hoped to get a job in business, and I pictured myself at that young age working for a big company and working my way up the ladder. And I thought I would get married in my late 20s and have my children kind of in my 30s. And none of that really happened. I met Bill and I fell in love and got married at 22. So that kind of changed some things. And then moved to Knoxville and didn't find the job that I was looking for and decided to, instead of pursue that business route, the other interest that I had was education. So I'd been involved at Emory and had known some administrators, and I thought, well, maybe I'll work in administration at the college level. So I started working at UT.
What did you picture yourself doing in business?
You know, I don't know that I pictured myself probably just, I don't know if it would be in marketing or finance. I mean, I had a job in marketing at the time, so I probably pictured myself running it. I don't know.
That's good. That's good. I overheard a conversation recently between 3 successful women, actually all 3 of whom you know. Each said they gave up everything, their own personal ambitions, when they married. Did you do that?
Oh gosh, did I give up my own personal
And they weren't bitter or anything. It was just a statement they made, which kind of surprised me.
I guess at the time, I didn't think of it that way. And I guess in some ways maybe I did, but I don't know that those ambitions were exactly the right thing for me. So I don't, at the time I thought that, but I wouldn't make that strong of a blanket statement that I gave up all my ambitions to get married.
Yeah. How did you fit your ambitions into the life of a married person, later a mom?
I think that I learned that, I think I'm a generalist. I think I'm good at a lot of things, but I'm not, especially skilled in any one area. And I used to think that was a bad thing, but I think that it's a good thing now. I think it's fine. I think there are people out there that are good at a lot of things, and but not maybe called to one or excellent at in one area. I think I searched for a long time trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. And once I realized that I was called to be right where I was, that was all right.
And how do you describe where that was?
Well, I guess as a mom, probably. I mean, that would be later as a mom. So I think a lot of, it was a decision to make too. When I first was pregnant with our first child, I was working at UT, and I was a graduate assistant and finishing my master's, and right about that time, I got offered the job that I thought I really wanted. And I had to decide, do I want to take this job at the university or stay home with this one baby? And it was kind of the job I thought, that would be so much fun to do. But I chose to stay home with my son, and because I felt like, I would love to do that, that would be fun, but someone else can do that.
What was the job?
It was starting a advising center for one of the colleges that didn't have one, that would be advising students academically and helping them as they navigate their way.
No second thoughts about that decision?
No, there were days when I thought it sure would be fun to, give this diaper bag to somebody else and go to the office, but no second thoughts.
So you spent most of your life then as a at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
And what would you say about that today? Is that something you recommend? Is that something you would do differently now, or how do you address that?
It was the right thing for me, and I'm thankful that I was able to do that. Not everybody's able to, and I think that it was a hard decision then. It's still a hard decision for women, I think, for a lot of women, and it's still a point of kind of controversy sometimes for women, and just understanding each other's choices and why they choose what they choose. I think we still need to give each other grace and understand that just because we chose one way to do it doesn't mean that's right for everybody, and that what the other person chose may be just as right for them.
There's not to get political about this, but there's been a lot of discussion lately after a Democrat strategist said Ann Romney never worked a day in her life as a working mom.
Yeah.
Without getting too political, what's your reaction to that kind of conversation?
Oh, I think it's some of the toughest work is staying home and being a mom. I mean, yeah, that would have burned me up too, I think.
And what do you do when you get burned up about something like that?
What do I do?
Yeah, how do you react?
I don't know. Complain to my
I've
husband.
never seen you burned
Complain to
up
my
like
husband, probably.
Well, 3 children, 1 grandchild later. What would you rate being a mom? How is that as a career?
Oh, it was a privilege. It was wonderful. I loved every minute. I mean, there are hard times and stressful times like any job, but no, I feel very blessed that I was able to stay home and raise them, and that I chose that route for me. So.
Is being a grandmom different than being a mom?
Oh yes, it is. You get to hand them back, right? But it is very, very rewarding to see your children start to parent, and to see, when they get it, when they realize the love that they feel for that baby, and they think, gosh, I think my parents felt this for me too, and all the things that their parents did for them that they're now doing for their child.
Good. You're also an empty nester now, if we ever have empty nests. How's that feel?
So yeah, I guess we've been an empty nester for a while.
while.
We had about 1 year of being empty nest and doing, whatever we wanted to do, and then we started a campaign.
That would interrupt any nest.
Yeah.
Any nest.
So that was kind of busy.
In Knoxville, you were well known as a Haslam, but also as a Haslam, you stayed somewhat under the radar. It seemed to me. Is that a correct observation? Was that intentional? How did?
I think I was really focused on parenting. I mean, I think I was really, and with 3 kids that were each about 2 years apart, and Bill traveled and worked very hard and was involved in the community. I really felt like I needed to focus. I needed to, make sure that everything at home was secure. And so I did volunteer through the years, but I didn't take on a lot of big jobs. Sometimes I would take on too many, and I'd realize I can't do all this, and I'd have to back up. But I guess when the kids got a little older, when Bill became mayor, I got more involved in community service.
Okay. What was your favorite community service?
I'd say I served on a lot of boards, went to a lot of meetings and committee meetings, and then I realized I needed to approach things at a different level. I needed to learn more about the grassroots problems. So I volunteered at the Love Kitchen. And the Love Kitchen is, they're 2 twin grandmothers who started this kind of soup kitchen after they retired. So they did it after they retired as kind of nurses' aides. They started serving their community, and they ran it totally on volunteer hours and volunteer work, and got lots of donations for the food. And so I delivered meals to folks in need in Knoxville, ran a route, and once a week took an afternoon to go drive around and hand them their food, and they would get 7 meals, 1 for every day of the week, and that was all they had. So it was a great experience for me to just connect with people. You visit with them on their doorstep, you could have a little conversation. Sometimes it was the only conversation they would have that week with somebody, really, and just to serve them and kind of to see the people and to get to know the people that those boards were trying to help, but to see them on their front doorstep.
Did you really get to connect with them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give us do you remember a story?
Oh. Well, there was one man that we would visit with, and he almost talked your ear off. We would say, okay, today we're going to limit it to 30 minutes. We've got to get on the road, and we would end up staying there and talking to him for 40 or 45 minutes because he would be telling us all about the war or airplanes or whatever it was that he was talking about. But we loved him. It was great.
Well, now you're First Lady. You've gone from a full-time mom, part-time civic leader, to a full-time executive of your own staff and world. Describe that to us.
Well, It's been a lot of fun. I was able to have a great team, makes all the difference in the world. Great staff members who make my life much easier. But we started in January, put together our office and started kind of researching and looking into what we might want to be involved in. We started looking at children's issues and family issues across the state, what organizations were working with children and families and what they were doing. And Bill, of course, is working on education. I'm very interested in education, so where did that intersect? And we started looking at the dropout rate and what caused it, and we kept getting pointed earlier and earlier in children's lives, and people kept saying, you know, it starts before that, it starts before that. They didn't get behind in high school, they didn't get behind in middle school, they were probably behind on their third grade reading goal proficiency tests, and if you can't read by third grade, then you can't, you learn to read till third grade, and then you read to learn after that. So if you can't read by third grade, you're not going to progress quickly, and you're going to get behind a little bit further and a little bit further every year. And then even looking earlier, a lot of those kids that were not reading on grade level at third grade were not prepared for kindergarten. They were coming in behind. And so we started looking at kindergarten readiness things and just realizing some simple things that parents could do at home to help their kids be more prepared for school and for learning. And we started looking at parental engagement as a whole. And so I focused kind of our work on parental engagement in the early years, trying to help parents understand what they need to be doing with and for their child while they're birth to 5, before they go to kindergarten, and then parental engagement in the early years of education, hoping that if they're engaged in those early years, they'll continue to be engaged as they go forward, and just the big difference that makes.
Right. You didn't enter the job, as I recall, first day, with that clearly defined mission. You actually went through a process to identify your mission. Tell us about that process.
Well, we did a lot of research. We talked to a lot of people. I remember we had some brainstorming sessions and brought in some people that we had met and knew more about these areas that we were interested in. And I thought I could have kept researching and learning more, and you know, my staff was like, okay, we're going to pull the trigger, here's what are we going to do here? And I guess in about March, I first made my first public statement about what we wanted to work on. And I realized then, you know, it was a good thing to do to go ahead and say it, because we could continue learning about it as we went along, and we're still learning about it. Well, we will always continue to learn about it.
Any favorite stories of what's come out of that to date? Well, we did a really fun program in Memphis. We found that a lot of our low-income families, where they go to get information about education, things like this, and raising children, is to their faith-based community, to their church. And then I found out that the pastors' wives in the inner city, the pastors' wives are called First Ladies of the church. So we had an event in Memphis called First Ladies for Healthy Babies. And I partnered with the Neighborhood Christian Center there, and they were doing some work in parenting classes and helping these young moms and dads know the importance of early brain development and reading to their children, talking, singing, touching, playing, all the things that they should be doing with their child. And so we invited pastors' wives to come, because we wanted to tell them about this program and educate them about the importance of all this, so that then they could take that back to their churches. And I thought we'd get about 20 or 30 ladies. We had I don't remember, over 100 ladies. I mean, we had a big crowd. And that little group was born, and they have continued to be connected as a group. They met again this year, and they have not only built community within that group of leaders of the church and influencers of their churches and their communities, but they've also connected parents to programs to help them. They've signed up another 150 kids for Imagination Library. They've built a real camaraderie, and they're still going. So Great story. You stay in touch with them?
I do, and we're actually going to have an event next week similar to that in Nashville to start kind of a Nashville group of First Ladies for Healthy Babies.
Great.
Yeah.
And you do all this with a huge staff, right?
With a very busy staff.
Describe your staff.
Well, I think they're all here out there somewhere. I know a bunch of them
They
came
said
tonight.
they couldn't sit up front, so they're on the back row.
Oh, they're on the back row. All right. We're here for moral support. I have, do you want to introduce them?
Sure.
All right. Well, oh, this will be great because now I can embarrass them.
Yeah. Go ahead and tell us something about each of them.
Okay. They're all beauty queens.
They are? That's why I can't ask beauty pageant questions.
That's right. No, Crissy Gibbs is from Texas, and you knew her from the campaign. She was kind of one of the major people in charge of our campaign, and she's my chief of staff. And Rachel Lundeen is also from Texas, but she is kind of my policy person and researcher and helps me with lots of my writing and speeches. And Amanda Kearns is there from Knoxville, and she ran the Knoxville office in the campaign. I've known Amanda since she was in middle school, I guess. And she does my scheduling and lots of other things. I think two of our interns are here from Belmont. Yay. There they are. And Casey, I see Casey there. Casey runs the residence and does a tremendous job there, because that's kind of another side of what I do, is all the things that happen at the residence.
We'll talk about that
Okay.
in a little bit too.
Anybody else back there? Oh, and Kristen, another intern, yay. Kristen's been an intern for a whole year, and she's been here from Winston-Salem,
Good.
North Carolina. Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you. Well, let's talk about the residents.
Okay.
Tell me how that's, we've talked about your substantive agenda. What about the residents?
Well, it's a beautiful place to live. It's definitely been a little bit of an adjustment. You know, moving into some place is not really your home, but it's kind of, but it's really nice for government housing, as Bill says.
Do you like living there?
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful place to live. No, we enjoy living there. And the upstairs, we got to bring our own furniture, and that's kind of where we live. The downstairs is all state furniture. The downstairs is on camera. So we mostly live upstairs. But because the former administration, Governor Bredesen and Andrea Conte, redid the whole residence, it was in perfect shape for us to move in and to start using it. And so we've really tried to open it up to Tennessee and use it for government state purposes, to whether it's bringing in businesses to talk about economic development or highlighting and honoring Tennesseans from across the state, or we use it a lot, and we have events there, and we have dinners there, and lunches, and meetings, and all kinds of things. So
most or many governors and first ladies, when the time comes, ask the question, do I really want to live in the residence, or would I rather be somewhere more private? Did you all go through that discussion?
No, I think we always knew we would live there. And I think we both thought it was important. It was just kind of a statement that we wanted to make, that we would live there and make that part of our life and use it as I think it's meant to be used. So I thought it was great that the Bredesens were able to use their time to refurbish it, because apparently it was in terrible shape and needed, from leaks and plumbing problems and electrical problems and all kinds of things, that it needed to be renovated.
Christy Gibbs gave me some numbers on how many events you all actually have done in the first year in a few months. Seems like something every night. What's it seem like
Not
to
quite.
you?
No, it doesn't seem like that. It doesn't seem like something every night, but several times a week, certainly several times.
And what kind of things do you use it for?
Well, the dining room table will seat 22 people, and we've had a series of dinners kind of organized by business. So they had a dinner for healthcare companies, CEOs to talk about, and then trucking companies and IT companies and all kinds of different companies to talk about how state government could work better with them, things that state government could improve upon, and how to bring more of their business or related businesses to Tennessee. So that's one of the first things we did. We've had legislative dinners to build relationships with our legislators to help in that way. We've had, well, I'll tell you my favorite one.
Okay. Yeah.
Last summer, when Bill was in Afghanistan and Iraq visiting, we invited the spouses of the National Guard to come to the residence. And I don't think they'd ever been invited before. And we had about 140 come from across the state.
Right.
And so while Bill was there, their spouses got to come to the residence.
So while he's in Afghanistan,
while he was there,
in Iraq,
I
you have
hosted the
this at the
spouses.
residence.
And so most of them women, but some men because their wives were serving. And they, almost all of them came in and said, we got an email from our husband and he met your husband this week. And one of them had a picture of of her husband and Bill that she'd printed on the computer. We had our picture made holding the picture of them in Afghanistan. But I was able to just thank them for their service and for what they do for our state and for our country by giving up, their spouses to be overseas fighting. And it made me realize that, it's such a great opportunity to bless people and to encourage them. And so that one stands out in my mind.
That's great.
Definitely.
My first experience with the First Lady was up close and personal was Honey Alexander, who had young children in the residence. Her mission was being mom. She had a little office upstairs. You actually have an office downtown you go to every day with a staff. What's a day like?
Well, and I will say I would never be able to do this if my kids weren't at the stage that they are, because they're in their 20s and they all live out of state. So, but I kept the office that Andrea Conte had, and so I get up and go into the office. I mean, I leave the house at 8:30, so it's not that early, but I generally am there or out or in meetings or traveling, whatever. I mean, I usually don't come home till probably 5:30 or 6. I figure if Bill's working,
You might as
I
well.
might as well be. And sometimes I'm coming home and running upstairs and freshening up just in time to come down and greet a group of people who are coming in the door. So.
But that's a very different life now than you lived in Knoxville.
It is. It is. I think campaigning probably was good practice for that.
You think so?
Because, the campaign, you were go, 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 nonstop, 6 days a week.
Yes,
so.
we did. It was good. What do you do for yourself? All of this is for the state, for National Guard spouses, et cetera, et cetera. What do you do just for yourself?
Well, I like to exercise. I don't do as much as Bill does, but I bike and I join the Y, go to the Y, and try to do that and walk. I don't run, but I walk, and I love to read, so that's a way to escape and get away. And then I visit my children, and I keep up with my kids and keep up with my friends back home, and try to make some new friends.
How do you stay connected to your children?
Oh, mostly by phone, email, and they don't want you to leave a message. I don't know if you know this yet, but they don't want you to leave a message. They want you just to call and hang up. And then they'll know you called because they don't want to take time to listen to the message. They'll just call you back when they can.
Well, mine don't want anything but a text.
Okay, yeah, or a text. That works.
Do they come to the residence often?
No, not as much as I wish they would. No.
So they're not all caught up in the.
They have lives of their own,
of
and they're living their own lives. And
tell us where they are and give us a little status report.
Our oldest is Will, Will, the hunter, and he is he's the one that he and his wife Hannah just had our first grandchild, and they live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where he's pursuing a master's in history. And then Annie is the next one, and she actually, we did have a big year. Not only do we move to Nashville and start new jobs, but have a grandchild. We also had a daughter get married. So that's
at the residence.
At the residence, that's a really big year for a mom.
Now I heard you were a hands-on mom in planning that wedding. Is that right?
I was involved. Yeah, I was very involved. But I had to have a wedding planner.
You did?
Yeah, I had a wedding planner to carry it out because I figured this is the one time that I'm not going to be able to. I'm not super mom, and I never have been. So I can't do it all. But she was very involved, so she had all of her ideas. It was just about kind of making her dreams come true, you know. But so she is happily married and living in Charlottesville, Virginia, where her husband is in school at University of Virginia, and he's in law school, and she's getting a master's in social work at VCU. And then the youngest, Lee, is teaching second grade in Charleston, and she's at a private inner city school, loves it, and very happy there.
Tell us about the music at the wedding.
The music at the wedding.
Mm-hmm. It was rather unique.
In the service or at the reception?
At the service.
Oh.
Or I guess leading up to the service and following.
Like the bluegrass?
The bluegrass.
Yeah, there was a bluegrass band. I was like, the band that we danced to afterwards was really fun, but the bluegrass band was great.
The band was good, but the bluegrass was unique.
Okay, good, yeah.
Was that your idea?
No, that was her idea.
Okay.
That was her idea.
Bill told us what the kids said when he told them he was thinking about running for governor. And the story is that Will said he'd be gone from the house, so do what you want. One of the girls encouraged him. The other just said, don't lose, it would be embarrassing. What did you say when he told you he was thinking about running for governor?
Well, that was when he was
running
that was when
he was running for mayor.
Right.
So what did you say when he
ran for mayor? I really thought it was, I didn't think it would be that big of a change. He had always been so involved in the community. He had been on committees and commissions and chaired this and that, and went to meetings. And so I thought, he's passionate about Knoxville, and I thought it won't be that big of a change. And it was probably more change than I anticipated, but it wasn't, this huge change. Because we didn't have to move, and because he took a higher profile role. But when I saw how being mayor suited him so well, and how it kind of used his gifts and abilities so well, I thought it was great for him.
What did you say when he told you he was thinking about running for governor?
Well, I was a little surprised. I know we talked about it a little, but I really didn't think he would do it. And somebody else was thinking of running, and so he said, they're probably going to run, so I won't. If they run, I won't. So I kind of just thought, they'll run, we won't. But then all of a sudden, the other candidate said he wasn't running, and Bill said, I've got to decide quickly, and I think I want to do this. And I remember saying, well, how much is being governor like being mayor? And he said, well, it's a lot like that. It's just on a bigger scale. And I said, but it's the same kinds of things. I mean, you use the same parts of your gift set. And he said, I think so, yeah. And so I said, well, you've loved being mayor, and you've been great at it. And I thought he would make a great governor. So I also said, I want you to feel called to do this. I want you to really feel like the Lord is calling you to run. And I never felt like he was calling me to run. And I know some wives feel like, well, he may have told you that, but he hadn't told me that. So, but I felt like if he felt very called to run. And I said, well, if you're called to run, then I'm with you. Because I'm married to you, I'm called to run with you. And I don't have to feel that same feeling. I didn't feel like I had to feel that same feeling. But I said, you're called to run, and then the Lord will decide, and the voters, whether you're called to serve.
But run you did.
We did.
But I mean, you did. You were out there all the time. What was it like? And how did it change your life?
Well, it was a great experience. I mean, I learned a lot. It was tiring. It was nonstop. I think it helped us be closer because I could see and understand what he was going through. It is a lot harder to be the candidate than to be anything else, than to be the wife of the candidate or the manager of the candidate or any other roles that go along with it. but I was able to travel and see the whole state and meet people all over the state and learn about Tennessee and its people, and I had a good time.
What was your favorite thing about campaigning?
I think just meeting all the people.
Your least favorite thing about campaigning?
Oh gosh, it was just tiring, brutally, relentlessly, tiring.
Question. I'm going to come to you in a minute, so think about questions if you have them in the audience. When you met Bill, he was planning to be a history teacher. Mm-hmm. Will's following in those footsteps now. Eventually a pastor, he told us a couple weeks ago. Was that okay with you?
Yeah. I mean, I think I think when we got married, I thought I was going to be a pastor's wife, and that was fine. And I ended up working, differently, becoming a businessman's wife. But.
And now a mayor's wife, governor's wife.
Yeah.
How is all that different than you expected?
Well, I would never, ever have expected to be a governor's wife, absolutely. I mean, or a mayor's wife. I really thought he would be in business for the rest of his life. And I was very comfortable with that. In some ways, it was funny because since I was the business major and he was a history major, he was in business and I was at home helping with the history homework, I always said. So we switched roles. But I would never have dreamed that, I don't think the whole political part, I'd never really focused on that at all. I'd never thought of that as an option.
Would you prefer he had been a pastor?
No, I think that his gifts and abilities were better suited where he ended up. I mean, I think he would have been a fine pastor, but I think that, and he's taught Sunday school for years, so he got to use some of that.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Questions in the audience? Anybody have one? Oh, come on. Okay. Oh, here's one. We got a mic coming to you. That's one.
I'm asking, what do you see as the #1 challenge for K-12 public education, and what would you think would help in the solution to that challenge?
Oh my goodness, that's a big question. I think there are a lot of challenges. Don't know if I could pick the #1 challenge. We've raised our standards. I guess because I've been passionate about parental engagement, I think a lot of our problems go back to some parents that don't really understand the importance of education, are not able to help their children and support their children and encourage their children toward that. In my family, it was almost overemphasized, but we all went on, and most of us have graduate degrees. All of us have graduate degrees, and have been successful. But I think that certainly families and parents play a big role. I don't know if I could give the #1. I don't know if it boils down to one thing. There's so many things, and I think that's why Tennessee's working on it from all angles.
Other questions? Here's one.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the 3-part initiative that you introduced as First Lady? You've kind of touched on the parental engagement.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So it's kind of birth to 5, focusing on how parents can be involved in the early years. And like I talked about, the First Ladies for Healthy Babies. And there's some parents that you are going to, that know what to do. There's some that you just need to educate more. They don't know what to do. If you told them what to do, then you would, they would do it if they just knew what to do. And then there's some maybe that you might not ever reach. And then the other, kindergarten to 3rd grade, focusing on parents being engaged in those years, looks a little different because it's being engaged in the academic life of their child in school, connecting with their teachers, knowing their teachers' names, going to parent-teacher conferences, making sure their child is at school, ready to learn, following up with their homework at home, that kind of thing. I mean, their parent engagement can be a lot of things, but those are the kind of things I'm focusing on, those basic kind of things. And again, some parents just don't know what they need to be doing. Some parents do know, and others we may not ever reach. And I've partnered with United Way to start helping raise up tutors and mentors and reading buddies in the schools. So it's a program called Raise Your Hand Tennessee, and it's a way to funnel anyone that's interested in working with children, tutoring or mentoring, or just going into the schools to read to those elementary schools, to kind of to sign up with the United Way, and they will match you with the school and train you and send you in to do that work. And I hope that's a way we can reach some of those kids whose parents are not able to do it for them. And then overarching all of that is really a literacy, because I think literacy, in particularly reading on grade level by third grade, so that they can continue to be strong learners, is so important. And we've looked at how many books children. We have a wonderful program in the Imagination Library for young children, but how many books do children, once they get to school, have in their homes to read? And we've realized that a lot of our lower income families have no books in their home for children, no age-appropriate books. And so we've done some work with that and trying to get more books into the hands of schools to hand out to their kids, and some of those kinds of things. And just working with, I partnered with 10 schools this year and traveled to these 10 schools about 4 or 5 times during the year. And I've worked with the second graders and the third graders, and started to talk to them about reading 20 minutes a day, and how reading 20 minutes a day can make a huge difference in their reading. So that's a message that's starting to take hold, and I talk about it when I go out, but I'm working on getting that message kind of spread in a bigger way. So
Okay.
I think that's it.
Another question? I hear you become quite the purveyor of books. Tell us about that.
Like gathering up and
Gathering up and handing out.
Well, we have a little small warehouse in our office, but every time I go to visit a school, I'll take books with me. And sometimes when I visit private schools, they have raised books for me and given me books to take and give to other kids, or they've raised books in my honor and then given them out to people that they know. So we've also partnered with Scholastic Books and First Books, which is, we've learned all these organizations out there that are trying to work on this problem, and we've tried to partner with them to get more books in the hands of kids.
Great. You said reading is what you do for yourself. What kind of books do you read for yourself?
Well, I read fiction for fun, and I just finished The Meaning of Marriage by Tim Keller, which I would recommend. It's a great book. Not that we're having any marriage problems or anything, but it's always good to read a book on marriage, whether you're married or you think you might be one day. So that's a good one.
Favorite book?
Right now it's that one. No,
Okay.
no lifetime favorite. Too
No
many.
lifetime favorite.
Too many.
Favorite movie?
Oh, see, those are the ones I don't.
Is this
Bill
nice?
would say The Sound of Music. Is that what he said?
No, I didn't ask you.
Oh, okay. I don't have a favorite movie.
You don't?
I
Okay.
love movies, though.
Did you read to your children?
We did.
Favorite children's book?
Well, when they were little, it was probably Winnie the Pooh.
Okay, good. Bill, very plain spoken about his faith. You've referenced your faith several times tonight. What role does faith play in your relationship?
My relationship with Bill?
Yours and Bill's.
Well, I think it's the foundation of our relationship. I think marriage is not easy for any couples, but I can't imagine being married and not having that faith foundation. Doesn't mean that it's going to be, even that doesn't mean that, that you're going to make it, but I think that is the foundation of our relationship.
Bill said it was, like you, the campaigns were very hard. He said it was very hard to be a candidate, though, and hard to stay true to yourself as a candidate or as an office holder. Do you find that an issue for you as First Lady? Do you find it hard to be yourself or to stay true to who you are?
No, but I think it's, First Lady's so different than Governor because he has to fight the battles, and I just get to kind of spread the word.
Okay. Watching you all is, particularly on the campaign trail, I viewed you as an unusual political couple in terms of your closeness, in terms of your reliance on each other, you're looking to each other for advice and counsel, and Bill very active, and you kind of the calming force. How do you? What's the secret to what appears to be a very solid and close relationship?
Oh gosh, I think we enjoy each other. I think we certainly in that situation we both felt called to be there, and have a great trust. We have fun together.
What do you do to have the most fun? What's most fun that the two of you do together?
Well, right now we have this great porch at the residence, and we go sit out on our porch and watch the sunset and talk. Or we go on walks, or I guess we just like to talk. We enjoy being together.
Now he's an active bicyclist, but that's sort of an unknown fact about you as well, I understand.
I do like to ride bikes. I can't go as fast as he goes, but I have fatter tires. It's not my fault.
I see. Well, you should get a bike like his.
I know, but
Looking at first ladies over the years, I mentioned Honey Alexander, who was sort of the mom of the residence with her young children. Betty Dunn, Martha Sundquist were sort of the hostesses of the residence. Andrea Conti, Governor Bredeson's spouse, was an activist, I think most people would say. How would you describe yourself as a first lady?
Well, there are a lot of roles that you can play. There are a lot of roles to be filled, I guess. I think it's part hostess, it's part hospitality, and you're not going to probably start a lot of programs, but you can bring people together. You can raise awareness about things. You have a voice and a platform if you choose to do that. And so I think if every first lady can do it their own way, and I think probably it has a lot to do with. I've actually gotten to know first ladies across the country. When he goes to his governor's meetings, the first ladies come and meet, and some of them work full time, some of them work part time, and kind of do some of their first lady duties as well. So there's any number of ways to fill that role, depending on the person and that person's time in life. It just seems, for me, this is the perfect time in my life to pour myself into it and to be very active in all those ways.
Do you see this mission that you've adopted carrying you through 4, maybe even 8 years, or do you see yourself changing that mission somewhere along the way?
I think I can see myself keeping it for a long time, and there's a lot to be done there. I can see adding other things to it maybe, but I don't know what that is right now.
As you watch him be governor, well, how would you rate his performance to date?
I think he's doing a terrific job. I think he loves his job, and I think I think that it stretches him too, which is good, and I think that he's learning, but I also think he has a unique set of qualities and gifts that seem to really fit.
Great. The best answer I got from Bill, or well, certainly one of the more interesting ones, was when I asked him to tell us something we didn't know about him, or something we're not likely to read anywhere. Tell us something like that about you.
Oh gosh, yeah, I know that story you told.
Tell us about running into the trooper.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, let's see. When the only time I had to campaign when I ran for student body president, we had themes, and my theme was the movie had just come out, Young Frankenstein. So I dressed up as Frankenstein for a whole week of school, and I wore ski boots and football pads and the screws and everything.
Is this at St. Mary's?
Yeah. There are no pictures, luckily, that I know of.
Did you win?
I did win.
There's a reward for a picture.
There you go. No.
Great story. Great story. Well, thank you for being here. This was fun, and I hope not too nerve-wracking.
No.
And I appreciate you sharing with us.
Well, thanks for
And,
inviting me.
Thank you all for being here. And we'll have you back in a few years and see how life has changed.
All right.
Good. Thank you.